But I think it'd be fair. You've been telling me ever since time immemorial that everything was white. Now it's settling up time. That's all. We're just going to tell the truth for once. That's all. I mean, bodily harm. You've been telling me forever that it was all white. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that it's all black. I'm just telling you what the Bible says. But because what you've been telling us was not what the Bible said. Have you got your seatbelts on? Be sure they're on. Please put your seatbelts on right now. Cinch it up. This is gonna blow up. This is gonna blow you away. This is okay. In Sex and Race, Volume 1, page 91 and 92, Rogers asked a provocative question. Quote, were the Jews originally Negroes?
What did he say?
Were the Jews originally Negroes?
What? Grenade.
Berean Scholar. Berean Scholar.
Waking up the people of the Most High. Got the knowledge to destroy the lies. DNA, history, open eyes. Walk into the darkness and turn on the lights. Wake up, 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 wake up.
It's September 1989, and on one Sunday morning, a familiar televangelist broadcasts his mid-morning sermon to hundreds of thousands of people from a new, massive dome in South Los Angeles. While it might have seemed like an ordinary religious television hour at the time, it was history actively in the making for South LA. You see, this is Frederick K. Price, and he was the founder and minister of Crenshaw Christian Center, a church that once had one of the largest black congregations on the West Coast.
Dr. Frederick K. Price had a thriving ministry until something happened that forced him to take a much deeper look at race, religion, and even biblical identity. It began in 1992, when Price heard an audio tape of Kenneth Hagin Jr., the son of his longtime spiritual mentor Kenneth E. Hagin, making statements opposing interracial relationships. When Hagin Jr. would not retract his position, Price began digging for answers. What followed was more than 3 years of research, involving hundreds of books and articles, eventually producing his groundbreaking 76-part series, Race, Religion, and Racism.
This is the way it is. Can we change it?
You can be a part of the problem or you can be a part of the solution. The church has been the most racist organization.
Race, Religion, and Racism. The book. Help the church to right the wrong.
This society, this nation, this world is screwed, and it's screwed because of the church. We have not done what Jesus told us to do. Somebody's got to talk about this thing. We got to bring it out into the open and deal with it.
And as the series progressed, Price went beyond simply exposing racism in the church. He began examining the black presence in Scripture, and even the claim concerning the racial identity of the original biblical Israelites. In other words, before his ministry was over, Dr. Price was beginning to uncover something much deeper about who we were.
My God. This man, now I don't know whether he's a Christian or not, but he's not presenting his material from the context of a church pulpit. That's my point. He's doing it as a paleontologist and essayist. And he's talking about a common brotherhood. Sound like the Bible to me. God been trying to tell us this for years, and nobody in the church was listening. They had their own story. All right, moving right along. In a book entitled, and I quote, Sex and Race, Volume 1, copyright by Helga M. Rogers, 9th edition, 1967 on page 50. That's 50. Author and historian J.A. Rogers quotes from a book entitled, and I quote, Key to Culture. Book 3, page 26. This is this book entitled Key to Culture, Book 3, page 26, Girard, Kansas, 1927, by author Joseph McCabe, who says, quote, primitive man, let us remember, was a colored man, a dusky person. 4,000 years ago, when civilization was already 1,000 or 2,000 years old, white men were just a bunch of semi-savages on the outskirts of the civilized world. If there had been anthropologists in Crete, Egypt, and Babylonia, they would have pronounced the white race obviously inferior and might have discoursed learnedly on the superior germplasm or glands of colored folk. End of quote. In Sex and Race, volume 1, page 91 and 92. Have you got your seatbelts on? Be sure they're on. Please put your seatbelts on right now. Cinch it up. This is gonna blow up. This is gonna blow you away. This is okay. In Sex and Race, volume 1, page 91 and 92, Rogers asked a provocative question. Quote, were the Jews originally Negroes? Now y'all gonna have to protect Pastor. Because I don't want the sword of Gideon trying to find me somewhere. All I'm doing is quoting from a book. It's not me saying this. This is Sex and Race, volume 1, page 91 and 92. Rogers, who is a historian, asked a provocative question. Were the Jews originally Negroes? And here's why he says it. Watch this. Were the Jews originally Negroes? Only 70 Jews, 70 Jews went to Egypt. But according to the Bible, more than 600,000 men, 20 years old and up, left Egypt, which must have meant an additional 2 or 3 million women and children. Since the Jews were slaves, their women were undoubtedly concubines of the Egyptians, just like black women were concubines of the white slave masters and slave owners. Two black people cannot produce a mulatto. Two black people cannot produce a quadroon. And two black folk cannot produce an octoroon. Take some white in a pot somewhere. And I said this before, and people get upset. Now, don't be upset. I didn't call you a name. But these are the terms. And see, all these kind of sticky terms that I use, I don't use these terms. Like house nigga, field nigga, niggers. I don't use those. We never have used those terms in our house. I'm talking like this because that's the kind of stuff that's in print. This is the kind of stuff that's on these programs that we hear and see. This is the kind of stuff that they say in the movies, and this is the way y'all talk out there on the street. And so I use the term folk got upset about. I don't mean any harm by this, but this is just true. Where do you think all these yellow Negroes come from? These high yellows, all these, they're still Negroes. You know where they came from? They came from the concubinage of the white slave master. There ain't no way the black slave could go into Masa's house and take Masa's daughter. Ain't no way that was gonna work. So Masa had to go out to the slave quarter and take the slave's daughter. And that's where all these strange colors come from. You go into darkest Africa, you ain't gonna find no yellow folk like this. You won't find no high yellows there. As such, not as original Africans. Okay? Now pick up on this. This is a marvelous thing that this man is saying, to us. And we need to realize this. He says that more than 600,000 men, 20 years and old and up, left Egypt, which must have meant an additional 2 or 3 million women and children. Since the Jews were slaves, their women were undoubtedly concubines of the Egyptian and must have produced mixed offspring. After more than 400 years of slavery, almost every trace of the first 70 Jews must have been lost, together with their culture, sound just like black folk in America. Same thing. Okay? After more than 400 years of slavery, almost every trace of the first 70 Jews must have been lost, together with their culture. Thus, Jewish culture was the Egyptian culture. To get an idea of what must have happened to those original 70 Jews, think of what has happened to Negroes in the United States who came here in hundreds of thousands over a period of centuries, and not all at once as the Jews did in Egypt. In other words, the 70 went to Egypt at one time, but the blacks were not brought in at one time. They were brought in over quite a few hundred years. Watch this now. Negroes are so Americanized that were it not for their color, one would forget that they ever came from Africa. Now watch this. The Falashas, or black Jews of Ethiopia, are probably very ancient. They claim lineal descent from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Call themselves Beta Israel, which means the chosen people, and observe the Passover. End of quote. In Sex and Race, Volume 1, page 28, Mr. Rogers says, and I quote, increasingly, it is being said in the most informed scientific circles that the Negro was the ancestor of the human race. Henry Fairfield Osborn, late head of the American Museum of Natural History, who undoubtedly was a black man, head of the American Museum of Natural History, who had himself a strong tinge of white fanaticism, said, Negroid stock is even more ancient than Caucasian or Mongolian man. Henry Fairfield Osborn was a white man. Now, from Man Rises to Parnasius, page 201, Princeton, New Jersey, 1928. Men of the Old Stone Age, quoting Men of the Old Stone Age, page 262, 278, and 279, 1918. Mr. Rogers goes on to say, Griffith Taylor says, and I quote, a major principle of ecology tells us that the Negrito was therefore the earliest to develop of the 5 races. From environment, and I quote, from environment and race, page 230, London, 1927, environment and nation, on page 87, Chicago, printed in Chicago, 1936. Rogers continues, there were several of these put together. It might sound a little confusing, but you get the tape and you'll be able to go back and get it. Rogers continues, Professor W.K. Gregory, in the illustrated front piece of his book, entitled, and I quote, Our Face from Fish to Man, end of quote, gives the Tasmanian Negro as the first man. Rene Verneau, head of the Paleontological Institute of Paris says, and I quote, recent discoveries seem to indicate that the Negro element preceded the white and the yellow everywhere, end of quote. From, and I quote, Huxley Memorial Lectures for 1924. This stuff, they've been knowing about this stuff. You didn't get none of this in school. They didn't tell the black folk about it, and they didn't tell the white folks about it. 1924. Huxley Memorial Lecture for 1924 on page 20. Rogers is a historian, so he's putting all these different things together. All this is in his book, but he's quoting from other authorities and authors, so that's why I'm trying to keep all this together. Huxley Memorial Lectures for 1924, page 20, Rogers continues, and I quote, Griffith Taylor adds in support that the Negritos, or little Negroes, were the first in Europe, after the Neanderthal, a near-human Negroid type, and that the Negritos introduced their culture all over the world. The original color of primitive man was black. He says, now, in a book entitled, going to another place now, in a book entitled The Greek Historians by Godolphin, copyright 1942, Random House Incorporated, in the book called Herodotus, chapter 104 and 105, on pages 130 and 131. Now, Herodotus was considered the father of history. Now watch this. Quoting Herodotus, who, by the way, lived 500 years before Christ and was called the father of history. Quoting, there can be no doubt that the Colchians are an Egyptian race. Before I heard any mention of the fact from others, I had remarked it myself. This is Herodotus talking. After the thought had struck me, I made inquiries on the subject both in Colchis and in Egypt. And I found that the Colchians had a more distinct recollection of the Egyptians than the Egyptians had of them. Colchis, this is my insertion now. Colchis, by the way, was an ancient province in Asia, east of the Black Sea. Going on to quote Herodotus. Still, the Egyptians said that they believed the Colchians to be descended from the army of Sesostris. My own conjectures were founded first, get this now, first on the fact that they are black-skinned and have woolly hair, which certainly amounts to but little, since several other nations are so too. But I further and more especially on the circumstance that the Colchians, the Egyptians, and the Ethiopians are the only nations who have practiced circumcision from the earliest times. The Phoenicians and the Syrians of Palestine themselves confess that they learnt the custom of the Egyptians. And the Syrians who dwell about the rivers Thermodon and Parthenius, as well as their neighbors, the Macronians, say that they have recently adopted it from the Colchians. Now, these are the only nations who use circumcision, and it is plain that they all imitate herein the Egyptians. With respect to the Ethiopians, indeed, I cannot decide whether they learnt the practice of the Egyptians or the Egyptians of them. It is undoubtedly a very ancient date in Ethiopia, but that the others derived their knowledge of it from Egypt is clear to me, from the fact that the Phoenicians, when they come to have commerce with the Greeks, cease to follow the Egyptians in this custom and allow their children to remain uncircumcised. I will add a further proof of the identity of the Egyptians and the Colchians. These two nations weave their linen in exactly the same way. And there is a way, and this is a way entirely unknown to the rest of the world. They also in their whole mode of life and in their language resemble one another. The Colchian linen is called by the Greeks Sardonian, while that which comes from Egypt is known as Egyptian. In his book entitled, that's the end of quote. In his book entitled From Superman to Man by J.A. Rogers, copyright 1968 by Helga M. Rogers, page 18 and 19, historian J.A. Rogers says, Aristotle, in his Physiognomy, chapter 6, distinctly mentions the Ethiopians as having woolly hair and the Egyptians as being black-skinned. Now, every movie you have seen about Egypt, Pharaoh, dogs and the cats are all white. The only time you see a black is when he's a slave. All right. Now, Rogers goes on to say, and I quote, Count M.C. de Volney, author of The Ruins of Empire, says, the ancient Egyptians were real Negroes of the same species as the other present natives of Africa. End of quote. De Volney further states in the same work, says Rogers, quoting again, to the race of Negroes, oh, watch this now, to the race, now this de Volney was a Frenchman, so he'd be classified as white. Okay, now watch this now. And I'm quoting, to the race of Negroes, the object of our extreme contempt, we owe our arts, sciences, and even the very use of speech. End of quote. They didn't teach us this in school. Only thing they taught us is that we came over on slave ships and picked cotton. That's about it. I mean, really. You know, overall as a whole. All right, now. Admittedly, the references we have looked at thus far could certainly be classified as past history. So let's bring it closer to our day and time. In an article in the Washington Post, another Negro-owned and operated publication, the Washington Post, copyright 1994. The Washington Post, November 16, 1994, Wednesday, final edition, byline by Boyce Rensberger, Washington Post staff writer. I quote, the overwhelming conclusion of anthropologists, in short, is that no physical features distinguish any race, not even a combination of traits that will do the job. We all descended from black people. Bye.
Black people have lost their identity, but our oppressors have not lost our identity.
They know who you are. But it's time that you listen to who you are. That you understand who you are.
Come on, Yashara, this time we're waking up. We're coming home. Back to Yahweh. Yahweh should show the way. Somebody clap your hands. Hey, hey, hey. We're waking up. We're coming home. Hey, yeah. We're waking up. I was walking through the world, didn't know my name. Searching for the truth, tired of the shame. Hey, then I heard the word, and it opened my eyes. Yahweh made the way, now my spirit can rise. I found the covenant written in the scroll. Yahweh called my people, now he's healing my soul. No more sleeping, no more chains on my mind. Yahshua is waking and we're right on time. We hear the sound, we hear the call. Yeah, Yahweh is gathering his people from all. We're waking up. Yahshua, wake up. We're coming home. Back to Yahweh. Yahweh showed the way. Walking the way to the covenant again. generations, but the promise never died. Had the truth inside the scriptures, but the world kept it denied. Now the dry bones moving, hear the sound in the valley. Yasharal standing up from the city to the alley. Yahawasha is the door, he the way that we follow.
Back to Yahweh.
No more living hollow. Covenant on my heart, commandments in my walk, praise in my dance and his name in my talk.
Step to the left, clap your hands. Step to the right,
Yasharal stand,
turn it around, give him praise. Yahweh
kept us all our days.
Yahawasha led me
Back to the light,
back to the light.
through the darkest night.
Now I know his name.
Now I walk his way,
Yasharal is rising.
and we give him praise. Who woke us up?
Yahweh did.
Who brought us back?
Yahweh did.
Who showed the way?
Yahweh did.
Who keeps covenant?
Yahweh does.
Say wake up,
Wake up.
wake up.
Wake up.
Say rise up,
Rise up.
say come home.
Come home.
Say Yasharal,
Yasharal.
Yasharal,
Yasharal.
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 We're dancing back,
Back to Yahweh.
we're singing back,
Back to Yahweh.
we're walking back
Back to Yahweh.
with the Yahawasha,
Back to Yahweh.
with our whole heart,
Back to Yahweh.
with our whole soul.
Back to Yahweh.
Yasharal, come home, come home.
Back to Yahweh. We're waking up, we're rising up, we're turning back to Yahweh. We're dancing now, we're singing now. Yasharal is coming home.
Through Yahawasha, back to the covenant, back to the Father.
Back to Yahweh.
We're waking up, we're coming home.
Back to Yahweh.
What do you think about this topic?
Please leave your comment in the comment section below. Please be nice. Please click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell to get notification for more videos in the future. Thank you for watching this video on the Berean Scholars channel.